Hello YouTube, my name is Isabella and today I'm coming to you with yet again another haul. I kind of was on a ban for about 2 months and I have a weirdly large stack for someone who was on a ban and still kind of maintains the fact that I upheld my ban pretty well. Some of you might think, wow, if that was you on a ban, I don't want to see what it's like when you're not on one. I get it, but a lot of these books were bought used, or I put a huge order in at Book Outlet, but it was because of the huge sales, and I'm happy and at peace with my book buying. I'm not mad about it. There's quite a few books here, so I'm going to try and get through them rather quickly, but I had some really great finds in the past few months, so it's very exciting. Now, the first book was actually the only book I bought new, and it was The Sun and Her Flowers by Rupi Kaur. This is the highly anticipated second book from Rupi Kaur, Milk and Honey being her first book, and this is actually a poetry collection, and I am a poetry noob. I haven't read very much poetry. I'm kind of very intimidated by it, but I was at Indigo buying a few presents and I saw that this was 50% off, and so it was like 10 bucks and I went for it. These next two I got in my November and December owl crates, and this one is The Glass Spare by Lauren DeStefano. To be honest, I wasn't that excited when I saw it because I believe this is supposed to be a high fantasy book in which our main character, whenever she touches someone or something, it turns into gemstones, and the synopsis wasn't really intriguing me that much. So I don't know when I will get to this one. The one thing that is kind of its redeeming factor or quality is that our main character is faced with a big decision whether or not to go against her country. I believe she's a princess, and because of her power she was just kind of downtrodden and forgotten about her whole life, and so she at one point has the opportunity to hurt her family or help it, and I would love to see kind of a more villainous story, but I don't know where it will go. If you've read it, I would love to know your thoughts because I'm really on the fence about this one. However, this next Owl Crate book I was so excited to get, and it was Foolish Hearts by Emma Mills. Emma Mills has written 2 other contemporaries in the past, and this one I believe is either a retelling of A Midsummer's Night's Dream or kind of a reimagining and has some elements of that play, which I think would be really interesting and fun, and it's a little bit different than your average contemporary, and a lot of people have really loved this book, and I've seen really high ratings, great praise for it, so I'm excited to get to this one when I'm in the contemporary mood. I also won like 3 books in the span of like 4 days on Goodreads, which was really strange, but the first one I won was The Music Shop by Rachel Joyce. This one I entered because it said it was a signed copy, and I'll show you what it meant by signed. That was their version of a signed copy. From what I know, that this is simply a fiction story that takes place, I think, in the 80s, and it's about 2 characters and their love for music, or one has a love for music and is teaching the other one. I think the 80s is a really fun setting for a music shop, and it's relatively short. The next one I was really excited to win, and it was The Immortalists by Chloe Benjamin. This is an arc, and it comes out sometime in January. I'm not entirely sure when, but I've seen some early buzz about this one, which made me very excited. From what I understand, it's a story of 4 siblings, and when they're kind of in their teen years, they go to a fortune teller and has their fortunes told, and it kind of like follows them throughout their lives. And I like this part of the blurb. It says, "The Immortalist probes the line between destiny and choice, reality and illusion, this world and the next. It is a deeply moving testament to the power of story, the nature of belief, and the unrelenting pull of familial bonds." So what I was trying to say before is that it seems to be not a family saga, but still kind of, and I love sibling stories, so I will be getting to this one very soon. And the final one I won is Deep River Night by Patrick Lane. This one comes out in February, and to be honest, I have no idea what it's about other than the fact that it takes place in Canada and it's by a Canadian author, so that initially makes me want to read the book, and I think it'll be a perfect time to read in the winter because look at this cover and it's called Deep River Night, and I have a feeling like the Canadian wilderness is going to play a lot in this story. Yeah, this one I should be getting to soon, and hopefully I'll have a review for this one and The Immortalists in the next few months after I read them. Now onto my Value Village part of the haul. I got 11 books for like $30, so even though I was on a ban, whatever you want to call it, $30, 11 books, and some of them were super exciting to get, so I'm not going to apologize about them in the slightest. The first book I picked up was Rose Under Fire by Elizabeth Wein. This is a historical fiction duology based on World War II and I think follows female fighter pilots. I have no idea if this is the first or second one in the duology. However, I believe you don't have to have read the first one to read the second one, that it follows different characters. But I like the idea of reading about female fighter pilots in World War II. And I'm not big on historical fiction. I'm not big on World War II historical fiction. This one might be the exception, and it comes like really highly reviewed. I grabbed Wayward by Blake Crouch. This is the second book in his Wayward Pines trilogy. I don't own the first book, and I don't really know what this trilogy is about. However, it's been very highly reviewed, and Blake Crouch is an author that I really want to read. Probably won't be getting to it soon, but it was $3. This next one was super exciting, and it is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. This is such a popular modern kind of classic book, and I've been wanting to read it for years, which is funny because I can't give you like a really great synopsis about this. All I remember is that it's a story about a boy traveling to places, and it's very much a journey sort of novel, and I think the writing's supposed to be very simplistic but also very beautifully written. So I've been literally dying to get to this book for years, and I was so excited to find it in the store. I also grabbed The Fill-In Boyfriend by Casey West. I haven't read anything by Casey West, but she seems like the kind of author that I would really enjoy when I want the fluffy, cute, contemporary romance. If I'm not mistaken, this follows a girl who has a boyfriend that's in college and she's in high school, and she's telling her friends about him, but her friends don't really believe her, and on the day her friends are supposed to meet him, her boyfriend actually dumps her. On top of being dumped, she doesn't want her friends to think that she was just lying about it, so she just sees this random boy and she's like, you are going to pretend to be my boyfriend. Then obviously a relationship develops, so it sounds cute, it sounds fun, and this one is a book that I know I can breeze through so quickly. I was also really excited to find Manhattan Beach by Jennifer Egan. This book came out in like September or October. From what I understand, it is a historical fiction, but also has a thriller sort of suspenseful element, which sounds really interesting. I actually read the first few pages while waiting for my mom to do something, and I really was intrigued and hooked by it, and I very much enjoyed Jennifer Egan's writing style for like the 10 pages that I got through. So this one I think I'm going to very much enjoy. I also grabbed The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. To be honest, I don't know what this one is about. I only know that it won the Man Booker in 2013 and that it has been reviewed really well, and I've just been seeing this book everywhere, and so I finally decided to pick it up. My trip to the second thrift store was very exciting and just as successful, and I found The Copper Gauntlet by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. This is a sequel to The Iron Trial, and I was so very excited to grab it because I just recently hauled the first book, and I think the first book is about our main character who doesn't want to go to this magical school, but because of circumstances he actually ends up having to go. I was just super excited to find a sequel in like perfect condition there, so I snatched this up super quickly. I also found A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. This is a hugely popular series. Everyone at least knows what it's about, and I have read the first 3 books out of this series, and so I have been very slowly collecting these books in the large floppy paperback versions because I hate mass market, and I snatched this one up so quickly. It was so exciting, and I think when I finally get my hands on all of the books I might do a reread / continue on with the series, but let's be real, these books are super intimidating. I also found A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray. This is a historical fiction story about a girl in a boarding school. Libba Bray is a super popular author here on BookTube, and I've had this book in my hands at like multiple thrift stores, and I finally decided to grab it. Ooh, I was also super excited to find The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. This book I have also been dying to read for many years. From what I understand, this book is about a boy who, I don't remember how he discovers this book, but he finds this book called The Shadow of the Wind, and it becomes like his favorite book ever. However, he discovers that while he's trying to find more about this book, that someone has been systematically destroying every other copy in existence, and that his life also is starting to like mirror what the novel The Shadow of the Wind is. And I'm pretty sure that synopsis made no sense, but again, this book is so many people's favorites and people highly recommend it all the time. So yeah, this one I was so excited to grab. I needed a fifth book to grab at the thrift store, so I ended up grabbing 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. I know nothing about this story, but it is a classic, and these editions are the indigo editions, and I've always not loved them. There are way prettier editions out there, but it's a nice edition to have, and I needed a fifth book and I couldn't find anything else. So I got a few books for Christmas that I'm excited to share, and a lot of these are special editions, so I'm not going to spend too much time on them. The first one was City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. This is the 10th anniversary edition, and it's so pretty, and it's way prettier than I expected it to be, because look, there are gold foil pages, and it's been 10 years since this book has been out, which is insane, and I think this book has been in my life for at least 7-8 years, which makes me feel old, but it's still one of my favorite series, and I'm not sorry about it at all. My mom also surprised me with the collector's edition of A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I don't have much to say about this, however, I do really like that it's black, and I was so grateful to her, and she went out of her way to find it because she just knows nothing about the books I read, but it was such a nice surprise. This next book was a cover buy, or a cover gift, and it was That Inevitable Victorian Thing by E.K. Johnston. I specifically asked for this book because it's so pretty, which sounds really bad, but man, this cover is stunning. I do now know that it is set in a world in which England never lost and was still the supreme power. I haven't seen the greatest reviews, which is slightly disappointing, but this book is stunning and I needed it. My last Christmas book made me so very happy, and it is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban by J.K. Rowling, and it is the beautiful illustrated edition. I'm sad that I haven't gotten to read any of these yet, but I made the decision in 2017 to read the books on audio for the first time, and so sadly have not gotten to any of the illustrated editions yet, but they're so beautiful, and The Prisoner of Azkaban is actually my favorite of the series, so I'm dying to get a peek in here. This book is ridiculously heavy already, and I have no idea what they're going to do with the future books because they're going to be huge. And before my book outlet haul, I have one more book to share. This one I got just a few days ago, and it is The Serpent King by Jeff Zentner. This book I've been dying to get my hands on for so long. I've like seen it at Book Outlet, but I've never picked it up. And then I found it at Indigo for $6, plus during the week where they have all their hardcovers for 30% off, and this was included. So this book was about $4, and I couldn't be happier. And I couldn't tell you why I've wanted to read this so badly, because I don't know what this one is about, other than the fact that when I first heard about this story, I thought it was, I don't know, maybe post-apocalyptic or a survival story. No, it's just a straight contemporary. Oh. Okay, I do have quite a large order from Book Outlet, and I will admit that I did open it. I did take a peek just to make sure I got everything I ordered, because I got it right when their big sale started, and I wanted to make sure that I got everything I ordered. I grabbed Born by Jeff Vandermeer. I know nothing about it other than the fact that I believe it is sci-fi, and a pretty unique one at that. I also picked up 99 Days by Katie Cotugno. This is another contemporary author I've never read from, but when I want like that kind of quick-ish contemporary read, I plan to pick up this one. This next one I've been dying to read for so long, and it is Saints and Misfits by S.K. Ali. Again, been dying to read it, but I don't remember the synopsis, but I do know that it is own voices for a Muslim main character. I also grabbed The Muse by Jessie Burton. Oh, I'm really bad this time. Don't remember what this one is about, but it is historical fiction. I'm noticing that this is a very contemporary haul, which is very out of character for me, but there's a couple of contemporaries I've really wanted to get my hands on, and The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis is also one of this one. I can't quite get a grasp on the synopsis. I've heard so many like contradicting things from so many booktubers, but I do know that it attempts to dismantle rape culture and really discuss it, and for that reason alone, I've been needing this book in my life. I grabbed The Shadowhunters Codex by Cassandra Clare and Joshua Lewis. This I just wanted to add to my Shadowhunters shelf. I think this just delves into the mythology more of the Shadowhunter world and talks a lot about some of its like really prominent families. I grabbed Want by Cindy Pon, and it's autographed, which is insane and has never happened to me. This one, all I remember is that it came out sometime in 2017 and it was really well reviewed, and I believe it's like a futuristic sci-fi novel set in Vietnam. I also grabbed The Names They Gave Us by Emery Lord. This book I've been dying to get to ever since I think it was Books and Lala first reviewed it. This book follows our main character who always goes to this summer camp that I think her parents own. However, her mother is, I believe, dying from cancer, and she decides to send her to another camp for troubled teens to kind of like broaden her worldview and to put some good into these people's lives. And I've heard nothing but great things. It's supposed to be super emotional. The biggest reason why I placed the book outlet order, other than the great deals, was Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shannon McGuire. This is the second book in her Wayward Children series, but I believe is actually a prequel, and I believe it just tackles the dangers of gender roles, and I am there for it. I also grabbed The Rose Society by Marie Lu. This is the sequel to her Young Elite trilogy, and I own the Young Elites, and I can't really remember what it's about right now because it was a hot minute since I picked it up, but I believe it follows a very morally gray character, which excites me, and I know not so many people love this series, but I love dark and morally gray characters, so I think this one is going to be right up my alley. Okay, we're almost there. I'm tired. I grabbed The Crown's Game by Evelyn Skye. This story, I believe, takes place in a Russian-inspired fantasy-ish world, and the emperor/king needs a magician, and then there's this competition to be the king's/emperor's magician, and I believe it is a fight to the death, and we have two main characters who I believe start falling in love. And I know this has gotten a lot of comparisons to The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, but I didn't love the book. I liked it, but I've been meaning to get to this one for a while. I also grabbed The Valiant by Leslie Livingston. This is a female gladiator tale, and the rights were just bought for it to be made into a movie, and so I'm very excited for it. Although I do think this cover is butt ugly, and frankly it looks more like she's on the moon rather than in a coliseum/stadium. And my final book, I should have left a different book because I don't know anything about this one, but it is The Queen of Blood by Sarah Beth Durst. This book I haven't seen a lot of places, but when I do, I've seen it really positively reviewed. And I believe this is YA, but a lot of people say it reads like adult. It's very brutal and gruesome, and I'm there for a brutal and gruesome fantasy story. Okay, that's it. I'm done. I do apologize for some of the lackluster synopsises, but I didn't really have the time today. I would like to know, out of all these books, if you've read any of them, if you particularly highly recommend them, because I got quite a few really exciting books. Thank you again for watching. I hope this video wasn't too long, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.